Ryse Son of Rome, developed by Crytek and published by Microsoft Studios, originally released on the Xbox One and now has a release date for the PC on the 11th of October. Now, I heard more bad than good about this game, but got a copy at Straight Games anyway to see what the real deal was. Let's check it out.
Ryse Son of Rome follows the story of Marius Titus on his way to becoming one of the leaders in the Roman legion. This story spans basically the life and death of the centurion as he battles his way through a war filled with expected and some unexpected turns, a journey riddled with a combination of both loyalty and betrayal. This story is played out well enough as a really long flashback, and once you're a gamer who appreciates a storyline and not just the superficial, you'll be able to follow it without a problem. Also, if you're one of those who admire the style and storylines of period pieces such as, let's say, Spartacus and 300, you would quickly grow to appreciate this even more. So I'd have to say the story of Ryse was well executed.
Your sister is eager to see you.
You will see her soon enough, my love. For now, I wish to speak with our son alone.
Another point which aided in the believable execution of the story was the voice acting, very convincing and done on an A-list level. It's clear this wasn't one of those budget efforts where the devs had to chip in and do some voice acting themselves.
Blood. So much blood.
The graphics in Ryse Son of Rome were said to be Microsoft's attempt at showcasing the Xbox One's true potential and power at launch. And in my opinion, it did a spectacular job. I understand that first-gen games or launch games are never a true testament of a console's power and should only be treated as an intro, as we know greater things are on the way as systems go through their life cycle. But either way, Ryse sports some of the finest visuals I've ever seen on a console to this day, especially the facial expressions.
Damocles is a myth. Only men kill men, my emperor. The gods may guide us. They never interfere with the affairs of mortals.
Oh! And what great oracle told you this?
Most cutscenes show faces that are reminiscent of a mannequin or someone who had one Botox shot too many. But in Ryse, I can see where they really stepped up the ante. I'm curious to see how the PC version runs at optimal settings. In the gameplay department, I applaud the devs for simple to not so simple things. First are abundant and forgiving checkpoints. While this game isn't the most challenging game I've ever played, I do still loathe doing things over. So if I must, I prefer not to end up too far back from where I expired. And on that point, let me elaborate a bit on the difficulty. At the beginning of a campaign, you can choose from 3 difficulty settings: Recruit, Soldier, Centurion, and there's a box for Legendary that only becomes available after completing the game. And personally, I'm not one to play the same campaign twice regardless of the game, so I doubt I'll ever experience this game on Legendary. But on the hardest level I could play it on, Centurion, it wasn't unreasonably difficult. It was all still very doable. More on gameplay. The levels were very linear. A lot of invisible walls. A good thing if you like to have your path set out for you in stone. A bad thing if you prefer exploration.
Ready yourself.
The combat system is real easy pick up and play material. You hack and slash. Some enemies require a bit more effort and tactic, while others are pretty much blade fodder. When it's time to deliver the final blow to your victims, you'll notice them flashing colors. Hit the corresponding button at the right time and this increases your rank and points which can be spent on upgrades. You'll notice that regardless of the button you press, the end result is the same. At first I thought this meant it didn't matter and was just there for show, but then I realized how the rank and point system work and its purpose. So yeah, try to be as precise in your fatalities as possible. The overall duration of the game might be a huge problem to some as well. This is one of the few games I played in recent times where I breezed through the campaign in basically one sitting. And this was on the hardest difficulty setting at the time. I highly doubt the legendary difficulty will be much different. So yeah, if you ran out and got this title with the intentions of struggling through a lengthy 10-hour campaign, then no, you'll be sadly disappointed.
compartment inside the head that will make it cry the finest white wine to symbolize his great love for the Empire.
To some even more unfortunate elements of gameplay, repetition, I believe Ryse took the most heat from gamers for this particular element. You'll find yourself doing the same stuff over and over. The same attacks, the same finishers, and pretty much the same bunch of guys. Now the game does try to change the pace up a bit in-game with some scenarios where you have to form a barricade and march towards your enemy while taking every opening as an opportunity to throw spears at them, as well as some spots where you're given options as to how you'd like your attacks to proceed by managing your army's formation and attack style. Now, here's how I truly feel about this whole bit. I'm fine with it. Why? Well, first, a game like this, even if you did have a wider variety of attacks, would still get old because when I think about it, Ryse is really just a glorified hack and slash game. The story elements and great graphics might hide that for a bit, but when you think about it, it is what it is, and it's also a short game. Maybe if I had to be playing this game for 10 hours, its repetitiveness would bother me, but not now. I'm cool with this, but I understand totally why others would be bothered. Suppose this was your only title, and you knew you'd not be getting anything else for a couple of months or so. Yeah, I can see a problem right there. But that brings me to my next point, multiplayer.
Rome lays claim Alicia's lands!
If you're up for some good old-fashioned co-op horde mode, then Ryse offers this in the form of a two-player co-op. This was a welcomed and entertaining addition, as I couldn't see how team deathmatch or search and destroy would work here anyway. Once you're able to find someone online willing to go through it with you and exercise some teamwork, then you could have months of fun with this. Back to the single player gameplay. You're offered a leveling up system. This wasn't that useful in my opinion. I see where they tried, but if Crytek had allowed players to level up with more useful abilities as well as maybe some more execution moves, I'd be happier. I mean, you were given options to improve your health, focus gain, and combat, as well as some variations to your executions, but still somehow it didn't seem like enough, as the difference wasn't as impactful as I would have liked. It still seemed like more of the same. Of course, the health upgrades were appreciated, but more could have been offered. On to other aspects that weren't quite up to par. 1. The loading times. These were long and harsh. Beautiful to look at, but not a good enough distraction to take you away from the fact that you were waiting forever for the next stage to load. Then the installation. It took me about 2 days to get this game up and running. I had multiple problems with installing it to the hard drive. At some points, it would even say the game was ready. Then when I select it, the game would get stuck on some loading screen. In a nutshell, Ryse Son of Rome did not disappoint though, mainly because I had really low expectations from all the bad buzz I've been getting. The game has a very high fun factor, coupled with some great visuals, responsive controls, and an easy learning curve that allows you to pick up and play. The downs are the duration, the difficulty, repetitiveness, loading times, and linear stages. Now all of this of course is subjective, as almost everything else in life is, but the lab gives Ryse Son of Rome a 7 out of 10. After the break, we speak with a living video game legend, Isaiah Triforce Johnson, a man who has and is still playing a pivotal role in esports internationally and for Jamaica, about his collaborations with Fighters Allegiance and Stray Games. We also review one pretty cool game and then some.